Hello everyone, and welcome to my first Posca Paint with me. Here I am drawing my autumnal fox, and so you can see I've already done a bit of the outlining, so I'm going in with a green Posca paint pen and finishing the background outline. You can see here, and I'm jumping through a bit of this, so try and stick with me as I attempt to narrate my very first video. So yeah, I've switched to a thicker pen to fill in the background, and there you can see I jumped to the end. It took a bit of time and patience, but that's how it goes with these traditional arts. Yes, and here I am using a extra small Posca paint pen to start doing the outline of the face and filling it in. So yeah, just jump through that a bit because I don't want you to have to sit here and just watch me paint for an hour. This roughly took me almost an hour, I would say, to paint this little guy. And so now I am doing the sort of like eyeshadow area in the darkest orange that I have. It just creates a bit of contrast once the piece is finished, and I like to put on the shadows first in certain areas, not in all the areas, like the eyes, when you know something's going to go on top of it. Like later I'm going to be drawing the eyes in black. So yes, here I have the extra small black Posca pen that I'm doing some of the details with. Done his little snoot, and now I'm doing his ear tops, because on foxes they're usually darker. And so for the eyes I chose to go with a yellow, and these are the steps that I do the eyes in. Of course it's different for everyone, but I start with the bottom most layers, like the eyeshadow area, which is above the eye, and then the I guess it would be the cochlea area is the yellow part, which in humans is white, but in foxes is usually a dark color because their iris takes up most of the area. But this is fantasy, so I'm doing whatever I want. So I painted it yellow, and then the main eye color will be where the iris typically is. I don't know why I'm going into such eye detail, but here we are. So now I chose to do his little bowler hat in a dark purple, just for some cute contrast there. And as I fill in, I usually leave the highlight areas, I draw around them, so that way if I'm leaving them white, they'll be white, or if I'm filling them in later with a lighter color, that will shine through better. So I just try to draw around those areas, but it's not necessary because the Posca pens are quite opaque. So, and I'm doing his shirt in the same purple just for continuity, and here I am starting the outline of the eyes in a black, just because it's quite dark and it covers everything. And so I outline the entire eye first. This is very delicate work, and it usually takes the longest, but you know, up to this point usually in a drawing, before you start outlining things, it just looks like a globby mess. And once I got this outline in the eyes and I filled them in, the irises are black. I think I said they were going to be green. Nope, they're black. Things really start to come together. So don't get discouraged when you're working on something. Just keep going at it, because before I did the eyes, I remember feeling like, this is a mess, what am I doing? But then it all starts to come together when you slowly start adding details, and details are my favorite bit. Like this part here, doing the fur details, that's my absolute favorite. And I'm doing, again, a dark orange, just like I did for the eyelids, for the little fur details and the little ear tufts. And yeah, I just typically go with the natural flow of the face or body, you know, whatever you're working on. Go with the swirls that you drew into the fur itself, if that makes sense. And so now I'm working on the cardigan. I chose to go with a beige, just because I thought it looked well. You know, sometimes I will lay out colors on that little splotchy paper you see next to my hand there that I test out colors on, just to test the consistency, but also to lay them down side by side before I put them down onto the main drawing, so that way if something doesn't quite mesh well together, you can decide if you're going to use it or not. So I do that sometimes, but not all the times. Usually I just imagine it. It's like, what would I want to wear? Which is how I go about picking the colors. And so I've got his brown pants, and you can see there again I've left the highlights a blank, but those are actually going to become shadows. So, you know, they could be highlights or shadows. In this piece, I think it would be too messy to include them both because I'm keeping it quite simple. So I'm just going to turn those into shadows because I didn't like the way they looked as highlights. Just fill them in with a darker color later. And I chose to go with the coral color to outline the cardigan, just because I thought black would have been too sharp, and I did his undershirt in black outline, so I just needed a lighter color to offset that. And here you can see me going in with I'm pretty sure it's a dark brown that I'm using, although it looks black, but yes, that's a dark brown that I'm using for the shadows in the pants. Just filling in the little spaces I left blank. It helps for details like that to leave them blank for me, but some people don't need that. I just do it because it helps. And here I'm starting with the pumpkin, what's that called? I'm not fully versed on pumpkin anatomy. The tops of the pumpkin, it just made it brown like his pants, and I'm gonna add some lines later. And here is the color for the pumpkin. I'm going dark with it, just like the color I used for his fur, and then I'm gonna outline it in a lighter color. And here I'm adding the eyelashes because I love eyelashes, and boys have them too, so I like to include them in most of my drawings, just because it's fun. And yeah, so there I go with the light outline. You can do pumpkins various ways. I just chose to go this way, but you can do a light pumpkin with dark outlining. It really doesn't matter, especially when you're doing fantasy works such as this, such as a little fox guy holding a pumpkin, fully clothed. And so here's the dark brown color again, and I'm using to make the little like tree-like outlines in the pumpkin stem. That's the word I was looking for. And that's pretty much it. Thanks.